I'll skip that. Oh, I'm not going to read this whole thing. I just want to read one line, and then I'll move on to the other thing. But this one thing, this is in relationship to step 5, which I think you'll appreciate. That step 1 is not a step back. So I think, yeah, I like that one. Clearly loved it as much as I did.
Well, so we've been saying, and we agree with you again,
Okay.
Step 5 is not being mad at yourself for being in step 1, because step 1 is a necessary, contrasting part of focusing.
Yeah.
Are you just wanting us to use different words?
No, just different ways of explaining the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, which
is like
love
using different words.
Yes. Exactly. Okay, and so for the last thing, I wanted to talk about step 6 in the introduction.
Well, hopefully you figured out what it is, because we
yes.
don't have a clue.
Yes. Well, in order to talk about step 6, you have to talk about
step 1
5.
is
Yeah.
asking, because knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want causes you to ask. Step 2 is not your work, source answers. That's what the vortex is. That's all that coming together. That's that building of all that momentum in the vortex. Step 3 is being in the receptive mode so that you can allow what you're asking for to come into your awareness. Step 4 is mastery. Become master of step 3. It's what you were talking about. That's where in the category of not trying to let go of it, but instead allowing it. That's what that mastery is about. Getting a sense of what the feeling of being in the receptive mode is. So that's step 4. Step 5 is being aware that while you are most often in the receptive mode because you have mastered it, that because of your powerful desire that you were born with, that you will never give up, this powerful desire to continue to move forward, to continue to have more things to ask for, to continue to give birth to more desires, then step 1 is a necessary and important part of the equation. So step 5 is understanding that step 1 is going to come up over and over again. But once you've mastered being in the receiving mode, then step 1 is something that you don't dread or fear or try to let go of. Instead, it's something that you embrace because you understand that that's where all the juice is. Yes?
Yeah.
So step 6 is?
Well, I feel that step 5 is basically embrace contrast and that you're okay with it. I would say that step 6 is embrace desire. And the difference would be when you embrace contrast, you're accepting and appreciating what is and what has been.
Can you accept it and embrace it at the same time, or are those two different words?
I'd say there's a vibrational difference between them. Yeah.
So choose one.
When you embracing what is and what has been. And when you embrace desire, you're appreciating the anticipation of what you want and what is unfolding. You're focusing the energy forward towards asking and allowing and expecting what you want. You don't hold back wanting for fear it might not happen. You're in the place of knowing it will happen, so you state your desires, ask away, and have master the receptive mode to where you know you will receive what you are wanting.
It is such a wonderful thing to be consistently in that receptive mode, because once you're in that receptive mode, what happens is you're getting all these impulses and inspirations that you're consciously aware of what your vibrational stance was that accomplished them. And then that's that true mastery. And then you're not afraid of the world anymore. Then you're not afraid to ask. Then you don't think that there is any risk. Sometimes we would say to people, or they would say to us, Abraham, I think I've got this down and I've been practicing it and I'm doing really good and my life is working really well for me. But those people at work are so negative. And what they're saying is, and I'm worried that I will, as you said, maybe take a step back, that I won't be able to hold my connection if I live in the real world. So step 5 is understanding that the real world is okay, that the contrast is always serving you. It's sort of like where you started in the beginning, because you may have heard us say this. It might be on your paper.
Probably is.
That you don't have to know anything about the law of attraction. You don't have to know anything about the laws of the universe. You could just be in this world being exposed to contrast, and you would naturally be giving birth to desires. Everyone is doing it. You cannot stop doing that. So you don't even have to know about step 1 in order to be fulfilling it fantastically. Step 2 has never been your job. That's source and the vortex and law of attraction. That's where your desires get all shored up. Things like them are drawn to them. They become big. They include everything that you've ever wanted. They become bigger than you could even consciously acknowledge. And then step 3 is, because you are on the beach, because you are chilled out, because you have let go, because you're not worrying about this or that or this or that, because you are in the receptive mode, and often accidentally, because you didn't do it on purpose, you just followed your natural instinct to want to feel good, and it feels good to feel good, and it feels good to go to the beach, and it feels good to be in the sand, and it feels good. So you don't have to know any of that either. Step 1, step 2, step 3 all happened without you even knowing about it. But now where the mastery comes in is where you are starting to put 2 and 2 together. You're starting to notice the relationship between how you felt and what is turning out. You're starting to notice that there is a vibrational thing that's going on that you can feel even before manifestation. Mastery of creation means you got to know what's going on before there's a manifestation that tells the tale of what's going on. So the true mastery is understanding what your emotions mean. Understanding that the better you feel, the more in the receptive mode you are, and the more broader view that you have. And then step 5 is relaxing into the absolute understanding that it is right for you to have been born into a world of contrast. So many people, there have been hundreds of them that have sat in this chair before us, and their predominant question that they want to know about is, Abraham, if we were source energy, and if we were living happily ever after, and if we were pure positive energy, why would we ever come into a situation where contrast is thwarting us in the way that it is? And that's the part that step 5 really answers. You got to fall in love with step 1. You got to love yourself so much. You've got to feel your worthiness regardless of what's going on. You've got to not be so quick to judge yourself unworthy because of this consequence or this thing that is unfolding right now. That mastery of understanding. And of course, none of it can be mastered until you understand that there are 2 perspectives that are playing against one another. You got to understand that there's a vibrational you that is offering a powerful signal that law of attraction has been responding to for a very long time. And understanding the power of that vortex then puts you in the position of not ever having to fear where you are, because the power of the vortex will always call you. It will always prevail. You will always fulfill your life's purpose. Even if you come into this body and live in misery and croak, once you reemerge into non-physical, you will understand you lived your life's purpose. Because you experienced and you ask, and now you are receiving. We just want you to be in the receiving mode. We want you to experience the conscious awareness of what's unfolding while you're still here in this physical body. Really good.
Oh, I noticed for the Alaskan cruise, that especially Esther is very fond of, that if you take the word Alaskan and you break it up, it's all ask, N-A-N. So if you add a D, it could be all ask and it is given. So it could be the all ask and it is given cruise. One last thing. Okay, I got a gift. You call it a Valentine. It is a heart. For the next person in the hot seat. So is it okay if I leave it here? So whoever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just leave it right in the seat.
Yeah. Thank you.